They could have become more moderate, or they could have become more crazy. And I think they're betting on becoming more crazy. I mean, I look at what's happening in New York with this Mandani guy, and what's happening in, I think, where you are in California with all these protests and the governor supporting them and being against bringing in the National Guard. Why is America's, I guess, one of America's two major parties becoming crazy?
Well, it is crazy. And after the election, there were a few people who said, this happened to us before with George McGovern in 1972. We got a landslide loss to Nixon. And then in 76, we went back to the old formula of nominating a liberal with a Southern accent. Every time we had LBJ, and then after that they had Bill Clinton, and every time they had a Northern liberal except for Obama, that was easily they lost. And so they went back, and then Carter turned out to be like McGovern. So then they were 12 years in the wilderness, and then they said, you know what, we're going to get two guys with a Southern accent, Gore and Clinton, and we're going to talk about 100,000 uniforms, midnight basketball, close the border, legal, and they won. And they barely won, and they only won because of Ross Perot, was a right-wing populist that took votes from George H.W. Bush. And even Bob Dole in 1996 got he was hurt because Ross Perot got 10%, not 19, but he still got 10%. Had all that gone to Dole, he would have won. Clinton never got 51% of the vote in either election, but he was wise enough to see where they were going. And you would think right now, given that model, they would say John Fetterman, Josh Shapiro, these are the kind of people we're going to listen to. But the problem is they are terrified of the left because they're not just left, they're Jacobins. And by that, I mean they have the ability in Los Angeles to bring out thousands of people who will say crazy things. They'll wave Mexican flags. They'll burn American flags. They'll go after people. They don't know what Jasmine Crockett will do, but she will say the most racist things about old white men, and she'll attack them. They don't know what AOC will do. They do not know what the Squad will do. They have crazy Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. So the moderates, if there are any, are afraid of those people because they aren't really Democrat. They're not really politicians. They're just internet activists, influencers, left-wing zealots. And they're not interested in governing. They're just interested in destroying things. They're nihilists. So that's who they are now. And they're kind of terrified. So the answer is they have to be beaten 2 or 3 times before they're going to So Gavin Newsom out here in California, they told him after the election, Gavin, you're responsible as city council member for 8 years, for mayor for 8 years, for lieutenant governor for 8 years, and for governor for 6, 7 years. You're the poster boy for the destruction of California.
Mm-hmm.
The water crap, the high taxes, the broke government, the deficits, the illegal aliens, the fires. So you got to pivot. So for about a month, he had Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk. He said he was moderate. And then people shook him up and they said, no, that's the wrong strategy. You'll never get nominated because these people are crazy. You've got to be in a primary. So you've got to be crazier than Karen Bass, and you've got to get crazier than all of them. So now he's saying, we'll withhold taxes to the federal government if they don't treat us right. We're going to get back the guard. We're going, and all these things. And he's now back to his hard left, and he's polling 6% for 2028. So I don't think they're going to have to be beaten again and again. And if the Republican Party can stay calm and not get too arrogant, it's got a great message because it's now the party of the lower, middle, and upper middle class. And that's where the votes are. And it's doing something quite radical. It's substituting racial tribalism for class solidarity. So it's telling a Mexican-American truck driver in Fresno or a black carpenter in Iowa, you have more in common with a white guy who's a plumber than you do with Joy Reid or Alex Padilla. They are the same thing, just as white guys now have nothing in common with Nancy Pelosi or Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren. You guys have nothing in common with
Yes.
your versions, but you do have common with the middle class.